I have many impressions. First, I hate that term. It's a horrible term. It's not of the land of crack. When people use that term, it's used to excuse people from doing anything, because crack is not the problem there. Poverty is the problem. Mental illness is a problem. Racism is a problem. And then so when people use the term Cracolândia, what they're telling me is that they're stupid or that they don't give a shit about people. So it's a horrible term. So we have to go back to slavery. Both countries had slavery, right? So as a result of slavery, you have black people in those societies who were not doing as well as other people in the society who did not have slavery. So what drug policy does is that it allows us to ignore the impact of slavery and other things. And so we pretend that the problem is drugs, and the drug policies continue to perpetuate the disparity between the groups, because the people who are arrested primarily for drugs in this society in Brazil, as well as the United States, are primarily black. And so drug policy functions to be another sort of form of slavery in a sense. So the issues are never about drugs. It's always about subjugation of people. So as long as we talk about drugs, we don't have to talk about lack of jobs, poor education, lack of housing. We don't have to talk about any of that. So drug policy functions to obfuscate the real issue. I said that coming to Brazil, what's happening in Brazil is apartheid. Not just with drug policy. Drug policy is just one of the tools. It's used to make sure that the apartheid continues. But there are other sort of policies that are also like racial discriminations in other ways. But yes, when I say it reminds me of apartheid, I simply mean that 50% of your population is African, let's say. But when you think about who's in the mainstream, who's working, who is in the middle class, you don't see those Africans. And so what that looks like is apartheid. There are many myths about drugs, in part because many people don't have experience with drugs. And so I can tell you some bullshit about drugs and you'll believe me. And that myth will continue because you have no experience, and a large number of people in the society don't know what drugs do or don't do, so you can say anything. So that's why many of the myths occur. And as we think about with the place where Open Arms used to be, and we look at the people who are there, they're largely black people, black poor people. So we can make up incredible stories about that place because most of the people in the city don't go there, don't know what's happening around that, don't know those people. So if you don't know, you're susceptible to believe bullshit and other things. So it's not that complicated. I think that based on the behavior, based on what I saw, I don't think this mayor's administration cares about poor people. And it's pretty clear, but it's not only him. I think there are many people in São Paulo who don't care about poor people. Otherwise, this would not continue, because I think the mayor has the support of the people. And so I think the people don't care about poor people. So when we say the mayor, I don't want to just blame the mayor. I think the people also should get some of the blame. When you have this huge disparity between the wealthy and the poor, something's very wrong with that society. Now, I don't want to just blame São Paulo or Brazil. We have similar problems in the U.S. We have a president who is supported by many of the people who I am talking about here in São Paulo. So we have similar problems. Yeah, I'm in favor of drug regulation. So just like we do with alcohol and tobacco, I think we can do the same thing with these other drugs, cocaine and so forth. Now, I'm in favor of this for a wide range of reasons. It will stop us from arresting people who are simply using drugs to have a good time. When we think about drugs, using drugs to have a good time, we think about a nice analogy would be an orgasm during sex. When people have sex, they're seeking an orgasm. Can you imagine the government controlling the amount of orgasms you can have? That would be absurd. Well, that's what they're doing with drugs, basically. That's one reason. Another reason that I am for this is because it will enhance the quality of drugs that people get. Because I am worried about the impurities or the adulterants that many of these drugs contain when you buy them on the illicit market. But when you buy alcohol, the government makes sure that it's pure alcohol and that there are no impurities. And then so that increases the safety. And so I think that if the government regulates these other things, it would increase the safety. But I think before you get there, there's a lot of education that's required, that's needed by the people. And that's why I wrote my book, to try to help people start getting or obtaining this education.